Dr. Sahila, is it true that only certain people can do yoga today? And who are these people? Does it have a connection with our previous karma?
Yes, very true. When we say yoga, only certain people are able to experience the true benefits of yoga. And I'm not talking about the common concept of yoga here in America, which refers to, stretching the hands and legs. That is called asanas. It is a small part of yoga. But when I say yoga, it is the full aspect of yoga, the all-round aspects which brings about, connects the mind, body, soul, and exerts true joy. Now, only certain states of mind, like sipta mind, viksipta mind, or the mudda mind, these are distracted mind, restless, confused. They cannot learn yoga. Even if you send them reminders, even if you tell them, go practice yoga. I have so many students who want their children with anxiety, ADHD, who want to learn yoga and meditation, but they simply won't do that because their mind is not conducive to yoga. On the other hand, the ekagra mind, or the one-pointed mind, and the niruddha mind, or someone who is very detached, these people are very conducive to learning yoga. And the ekagra mind, for example, is somebody who takes up on a task and does not stop until the task is over. And it can be anything, so those people are very focused. And when they get into yoga, they become really serious into it. And how to identify these people is simply because they have reached a certain state of suffering. And when I say suffering can be deep. If you say your suffering is deep enough, I can tell you a million cases which are much more deeper than that, right? So it's about how you come out of suffering and what message you get from your suffering. That is more important, because suffering state is inevitable by human beings, right? And the way I approached yoga is when I was in my very deep suffering state. That is when I was with my father in the last few weeks of his life. He was in terrible pain, terrible suffering. And when I say suffering, it was really bloodshed. So he was a kidney failure patient and he had this fistula in his hand. And I remember this one day where his bandage was very loose, I think, after the dialysis. And it just burst open and the blood just splurted out like a fountain over the walls and tables and floor. And I was like literally pressing on that artery, because it's a fistula is created from a hole in the pressure in the artery. So I was putting pressure on that, and my aunt, who's a caretaker, was cleaning up, trying to clean up the mess. So it was a very painful moment to see somebody you love so deep is going through so much pain. And I still remember this as if this happened yesterday. And I did not cry in front of my father. I went, after the incident was over, I cried alone. And I'm sure my father did the same. He pretended as if, it was normal, but I'm sure he cried after the incident was over. So this kind of pain and suffering when somebody goes through, I started asking questions like, why is my father going through so much pain and suffering? And he's the most compassionate, kindest person I know. And why was I placed in a situation to witness this? So these are questions that are very deep. You're not going to find answers easily on the internet. And this is the seeking that I had when I dived into yoga. So when I had so many questions about death, about my father's suffering, about my suffering, and I turned to yoga. Nobody told me that I have to go to yoga to find the answers. But this is what is your past life's vasanas or impressions that, lead you to the path. So I definitely have done a lot of sadhana in my past life, which is why when I did not find answers, when I was suffering, I automatically leaned towards yoga. Now, not all people who suffer lean towards yoga, right? And if they don't, then they are going to continue to suffer more and more in life. So that is what we call as ignorance or klesha in yoga. But for me, the path was very clear. So when I asked these deep questions, thought-provoking questions, I knew yoga would give me the answer, because in my past life, I have done those sadhana, and nobody need to push me to practice. Nobody need to set reminders or, tell me, go, you have to do this. It automatically paved the path for me, and here I am.